I recently had the disconcerting and unpleasant experience of telling what I supposed to be an entertaining and amusing anecdote to somebody. And halfway through, I realized to my horror that I had told this same story to this person before. Even more alarming was the fact that I was using the same rhythms of speech and intonation to relate the thing. It was almost like hearing a tape recorder being played. I was not even really thinking about it. It was as though I was on autopilot, generating this wretched, pointless little tale, as I had doubtless done at least a dozen times before to various people. All this was sobering, and it set me thinking about why it is that old people so often behave in this fashion. Those of us who know old people already know their views on the Labour government, immigration, income tax, modern schools, mobile telephones, and any other topic which might crop up in the course of conversation. All too often, just like me with my funny story, they express the same view in these same words, with the same intonation and pauses, even the same facial expressions, which they did the last time this subject came up. They behave, in fact, like automata, robots following a program from which they are powerless to deviate. Why is this? The explanation lies in the physical structure of the brain, and it's not caused by senile dementia or anything of that kind. It is rather something which we can avoid if we want to, if we put in the effort, that is. Our memories and thoughts don't exist in some transcendental platonic realm, independent of our bodies. They are rather electric currents and solid objects in our brain. Memories are real, solid physical structures which conduct electricity. Our brain is made of cells called neurons, which are connected to each other by little threads called axons. They connect one neuron to another. Those axons, in turn, have little spurs growing from them, and electricity flows in this way from one neuron to another. When we form a memory, the number of spurs from axons increase, and the connection between certain neurons thus becomes stronger and more firmly established. It is like the building of a bridge, a real, solid, and tangible bridge. Once it is built, it has wiring incorporated in it, and electricity now flows more easily across that little part of our brain than it does elsewhere. The more we evoke that memory, the stronger becomes the physical connections, and the more easily current is able to flow across that path. After a while, one memory will be so strongly linked to another, and then others, until they form an almost automatic cascade. So that mention of income tax will trigger one of these little sub-programs in the brain, and the person will think in precisely the same way that he has thought about this matter for many years. Worse still, this process will initiate other little cascades as the electricity flows through other long established circuits, and this can produce ready made scripts of the person's opinions and even anecdotes about this topic, all without conscious effort or even real thought on the part of the individual concerned. A conversation with somebody whose brain has become wired up in this fashion is not really a conversation at all, because those programs will run by themselves without any reference to the input from anybody else. The electricity just takes the line of least resistance through the brain. It is a simple question of physics rather than actual thought. This is, of course, one of the reasons that some people shun the company of the old, because they have heard everything they have to say on any topic 100 times before. The good news is that it doesn't have to be like this. We're all of us able to rewire our brains, but this can be pretty hard work after we reach a certain age. It entails not allowing our minds to follow the safe, easy, and familiar route, but disrupting those circuits and causing some of them to wither away. This too happens in the brain. If the same memories and thoughts are not constantly reinforced, then those spurs on the axons that I spoke of, connecting our neurons one to the other, can atrophy and die, making this particular electric circuit no more likely to be followed than any other. How do we do this? It's simple, but hard work. We can begin by reading some opposing ideas to those which we have adhered to for so long and actually thinking about them rather than our eyes glazing over and ignoring these new, unfamiliar, and unwelcome views. Try and ask yourself how sure you are that the person whose ideas you are looking at is mistaken. Can you be sure that it is not you who are wrong in this case? This process is absolutely vital if we wish to remain real, living, breathing, and self aware beings. This applies not merely to political or religious matters, but can be usefully applied to science as well. Many of us learn a certain view of the universe as children, one which serves us well enough all our lives. We see no reason at all to change it. In the world of physics, one meets people who still believe that protons and neutrons are fundamental particles. This idea was current until 50 years or so ago, and yet an awful lot of old people have never seen the need to keep up with developments in particle physics, astronomy, human evolution, or 1,000 other subjects. There might once have been an excuse for this in the days when to find out about things one had to subscribe to magazines and newspapers or bring home armfuls of books from the local lending library. But it's certainly not the case today with the internet. The other helpful hint is to avoid defining ourselves in this or that way, either politically, religiously, or in any other way. Instead of saying, I am an atheist, what about thinking of ourselves as, I don't believe in God at the moment, but that might change? Or if a Christian, saying, well, I currently believe in Christ as the Son of God, although of course I can't say what I will feel about that tomorrow. If we get into the habit of feeling mentally that even our most strongly held principles and ideas are only held provisionally and are liable to change or sudden cancellation, then this too will help prevent our brains from fossilizing. Because we're talking here about the actual architecture of the brain, its very structure, which affects how it works and what it can do. It's surely worth putting a little effort into keeping this particular organ in good shape, every bit as much as it is, say, exercising the muscles of our bodies.